Black floats in the air, its mouth gently opening and closing. You presume it to be asleep. You lift your hands close to its ear and clap once with vigor. Explosions! Help! We're all gonna die! It shrieks, shooting even further into the air. Laddie sits in the chair, head bobbing in a desperate, if futile, struggle against sleep. She's no doubt exhausted from all the fighting. Everyone is plainly spent from a day of fighting. The time has come for rest. Enter the Maiden's match with me, Livia blurts out nonsensically, barreling into your room. Livia says he simply wants to win the tournament and gaze smugly at all the people who've called him weak over the years. It's a special tournament, and it starts soon, Livia explains breathlessly. As it happens, they'll select the next maiden from the winners. A fitting festival for the might-obsessed hero's dominion, you think. But will they actually recognize Livia as the next maiden if he wins? You think back on how the citizens of the Dominion treat Livia. How hard he works at a dangerous occupation, yet receives no respect for it. You can hear the pain of it in his voice every time he speaks. All right, it's a deal, you say. Besides, fighting people from all sorts of different places sounds like fun. When does it, you begin? But Livia cuts you off with an excited, tomorrow. The sun is dazzling on this, the morning of the tournament. The clanking of blades echoes all around you. Let's get to reception quick, Livia chirps as he joins you en route to the arena. Here to pick up a few scars? The man behind the desk asks with a smirk. He begins explaining the rules of the Maiden's match. Participants register in pairs, taking on the roles of maiden and attendant as they fight. Once you're registered, you can go wait in the vestibule, the man explains, gesturing at the far door. What do you think you're doing? The crimson attendant's voice stops you in your tracks. Let's go, Livia says as he runs through the door, perhaps presuming that Gladio has no business dictating what he can and cannot enter. Immature brat, Gladio sighs, his helmet hiding his expression from view. Even so, you detect a note of worry rather than fury in his voice. I'll go easy on you, the woman says, brimming with confidence. The man's knees knock together. You reach out to him, concerned. Don't mind me. This is all excitement, he barks, sweating. Laddie seems to be in good spirits. You imagine she'd say, "This ought to be fun." You know we're going to fight, don't you? You ask. Laddie turns pale. Clearly, she misunderstood what kind of tournament this was. We'll show 'em all, Livia shouts, psyching himself up for the fight. The ringleader's voice echoes off the stone walls of the lobby. Onward to battle. All right, time to show these jerks what you can do. Magnificent. Laddie can hardly contain her excitement at having won. You can tell because she's looking up at the sky, furiously punching the air above her head. Livia wipes the sweat from his brow as you approach. You greet him, and he leaps back with a yelp. "Don't sneak up on me like that," he snaps, with no small amount of embarrassment. Ah, youth. Awkward youth. Okay, the only way out is through. Show 'em what you got. magnificent. Excellent. Buckle up, Buttercup, Lack shouts for some reason at Laddie, who is drained from the consecutive battles. If we win this next fight, that's it, Lavia says in quiet awe. Let's wipe those smug looks off everyone's faces, you say by way of encouragement. Yeah, Lavia shouts in response. The ringleader announces the final battle. There's no turning back now. Who else should be waiting for you in the final round but the Crimson Attendant? Despite this being a team event, he's battled his way to the final round all by himself. Do your worst, he bellows, striking an intimidating pose. Don't need to tell me twice, Lavia barks back, gripping his sword for dear life and fixing his gaze upon his attendant. Oh, this fight won't be anything like the others. two fight as one. Excellent. The powerful attendant bears down with all his might, but Levia holds firm. As the pair struggle, a section of the arena wall suddenly blows apart. A familiar beast emerges from the dust and the rubble. One you swear you saw in chains but a day ago. Whipped into a frenzy, the beast whirls a hammer over its head and charges you. magnificent. It has been a brutal struggle. The beast's knees buckle ever so briefly. There's your opening. Time for our special attack. The Crimson Maiden and his attendant bellow in unison. The Crimson Maiden and his stalwart attendant's attack slays the beast. Gladio at last acknowledges the strength hidden within Levia and recognizes him as an equal. Use that strength to fulfill your destiny, Gladio says with the air of a proud father seeing his own son off on an adventure. Levia prepares to address the raucous crowd. He places a hand to his chest, gathers himself for a moment, and begins his speech. He tells of his history with Gladio, who trained him ever since he was a young boy and raised him in place of his departed mother. Gladio taught him the true meaning of strength, so he could one day fulfill the Maiden's destiny. And now that his strength has been universally recognized, Levia tells the crowd it is time to reveal a truth that he has kept well hidden. Levia is in fact a woman, and thus the rightful successor to the Crimson Maiden. I, Levia, swear to protect this land as its rightful maiden. She raises her relic to the sky. It begins to shine with a light to rival the sun overhead. Levia, the Crimson Maiden by name and birthright, basks in the glory her people rain down upon her. Her small frame shows no sign of buckling under the immense responsibility that is now upon her. At last, she looks ready. Levia is mobbed by a heaving crowd of admirers, seeing as they're bound to keep her busy for some time, and surmising that there will be other opportunities to borrow the relic, you decide to depart Hero's Dominion. You bid the Dominion farewell as the sun dyes the sky a deep red in celebration of the Maiden's victory. The voice belongs to none other than the Crimson Maiden herself, guardian of the West Isle. She approaches you, serene and calm as can be. Who is this person? Was the belligerence and bravado all an act? A lie? Is acknowledging your friendship forged in the crucible of battle? She hands the Maiden's relic to Laddie. On the condition that should she become a maiden, Laddie must visit the Dominion and return the relic. Livia gives a hearty wave as you push off from shore. Why would the Crimson Maiden, whose biggest wish has just come true, be crying? No, no, no. Her face must be catching the light of the setting sun. Yes, that's why her eyes look so red. Laddie gazes out at the horizon from the deck of the ship as it rolls over the waves. The Crimson Maiden became a maiden in the end. You reckon Laddie's thinking about that journey and what it means for her. Laddie takes out her book and scribbles something inside. which she then shows to you. Apparently, Laddie's mother was the previous maiden of the village. There might be some clues as to how to become a maiden in the personal effects she left behind. Her proposal is as big as her handwriting is small. You nod firmly and cut the rudder in the direction of Omega Isle. Lack claps you on the shoulder, saying, "You could do with a rest here and there yourself." It then starts to chant some kind of spell. Lack casts a spell on the ship, and suddenly the sails unfurl and the wheel begins to turn without any assistance. It explains that your ship can now travel to any island you've already visited on its own. You've never seen Lack look so smug with itself, and that's saying something. You find yourselves back in the village Laddie had hitherto refused to return to. Her grip on the Crimson Maiden's relic tightens. Her face is taut and determined. Laddie sets foot in the village, not even bothering to have Lack transform her face with its shape-shifting magic. "So, you've returned," a woman says with no small amount of displeasure. What a warm... The woman heads out of view towards the center of town, as if fleeing from Laddie's very presence. You know that Laddie, for her part, wants to become a maiden so she can protect these people. You just hope you can get that message through to them. You begin introducing Laddie, only to be rudely interrupted. "I'm busy," the old man snaps. You begin introducing Laddie, but the boy cuts you off. "Look, I'm sorry, but you need to leave." The frankly heartless reception Laddie receives begins to weigh on her. Her head hangs low, her resolve from earlier, now a distant memory. Whatever happened here? It's frayed her relations with the village even more than you thought. You all decide it's best to leave the villagers alone for the time being, and instead search for her mother's personal effects. You ask the girl if she'd like to play with Laddie, but she simply glares at you and says, "Mom told me not to talk to you." You start explaining Laddie's plight to the woman, but she doesn't even acknowledge your existence. Laddie leads you to her home, which turns out to be the home of Mayor Grief. You always considered yourself close with Grief, and yet you had no idea he had a daughter. You open the door to a completely silent house. Grief must be out. Laddie enters what is ostensibly her home with the soft, suspicious movements of a thief. You step into Grief's room. Sunbeams from the window play across an immaculately organized desk and tidy bookshelf. You all search for her mother's effects, doing your best not to disturb anything. Laddie tugs insistently at your sleeve. Has she found something? You turn to her. She holds in her hands a weathered book. It looks This is it. You both might finally learn something definitive about her mother. You gently open the cover. "What are you doing here?" The master of the house appears, his eyes wild with suspicion, darting between you and Laddie. You insist that you can explain if he'd just give you a chance. He roars, clearly not willing to give you that chance. His face contorts with demonic fury. Tears forming in her eyes at the sudden and incomprehensible rage emanating from the man, Laddie runs out of the room. You give chase, not sparing a single moment to contemplate what could possibly cause someone as kind as Grief to become such a monster. Thus far, you have woven a tale of adventure that has incorporated yarns from the maidens of the South and West Isles. According to your navigation map, there ought to be islands home to maidens in the northern and eastern regions of the ocean as well. You've likely grown quite accustomed to seafaring. From this point onward, you can sail the ocean as you see fit. But be wary. One never knows what might happen out on the high seas. And fight. I don't know what it is, but there's just something so relaxing about the sound of waves, isn't there? Don't hold back. Magnificent. Fortune favors the bold. you win. Ah, the great open sea. Huzzah! What? Congrats. Ahoy, matey. It's like you can feel the sea breeze. Ha ha. Hope you win. Fortune favors the bold. Magnificent. Hope you win. You open your arms wide, and into them falls a fish. It's a fat, tasty-looking fish. Your companion's stomachs growl at the sight of it. Recalling it's about time to eat, you deftly prepare it and share a friendly meal. After a long voyage, you happen upon the North Isle. On the North Isle, you will hear the tale of a maiden in white. Very well then, prepare to go ashore. The North Isle is home to a range of majestic snow-capped peaks, the grandeur of which serves as a constant reminder to the residents of just how small they are. Having grown accustomed to life on the ocean, Laddie helps you prepare to moor the vessel. Lack, meanwhile, continues to laze about within the confines of Laddie's hood. Looks like Lack won't be needing dinner tonight, you muse to yourself as you unfurl the map. From the wharf extends a well-maintained road, which no doubt leads to civilization. A bizarre rock appeared. It seems primed to explode. The bizarre rock transformed into a treasure rock. You are greeted by sublime white gates, the likes of which you've never seen. As you attempt to pass through them and enter the city, someone garbed entirely in white rushes out, as if running from something, and crashes into you. You cannot see their face for the white mask covering it, but the fact that they have a weapon in hand makes you think they're a city soldier. You extend a hand to the soldier, who tumbled to the ground after your collision. "Out of my way," the soldier shouts, their voice muffled by the mask, before charging at you. Apparently, they want to fight. You parry the soldier's sword, then watch as they flee to the west. Crystal clear water runs through canals in the white-wreathed city. This place is far more beautiful than any village you've ever visited. Welcome to Alabaster City, the soldier at the gate greets, though his eyes don't even glance your way. You suppose he's busy monitoring the streets. As you look around, you see soldiers gathered in a ravaged corner of the city. You can't help but wonder what transpired there. Despite that, the other residents carry on with their daily lives as if nothing is amiss. The contrast strikes you as strange. Alabaster City seems intolerant of impurity. It makes you wonder if its history is as spotless as its appearance. Welcome to Alabaster City, the soldier bellows in unison with their colleague to the right of the city gates. Welcome to Alabaster City, the soldier bellows in unison with their colleague to the left of the city gates. The soldier sternly surveys the people walking up and down the street, periodically pausing to write something down on a piece of paper. Do your part to keep Alabaster City clean. The soldier holds out a bag, hoping to collect the refuse of passers-by. What a thankless task protecting Alabaster City's image must be. The city is safe thanks to the maiden and the soldiers, the girl exclaims. She seems to have not a care in all the world. If I shop here, I'll have to shop next door as well, the woman mutters to herself as she peruses the necklaces on display. It would only be fair, she says, trying on one of the necklaces. Among the townsfolk peacefully going about their day, you see two young women making quite the racket. It's all your fault, one woman shouts at the other, whose eyes run with tears. They appear to be fighting. No fighting, Lack exclaims in a rare bout of righteousness. Get out of my sight, you weird puppet, the woman retorts. Lack is shocked. She may be right about Lack being strange, but you admittedly feel a bit bad for it. The self-assured woman is Lanka, the Ivory Maiden and keeper of the island's destiny. The woman being berated is Krim, the Ivory Maiden's attendant. The women explain that they were entrusted with killing the deserter who ravaged the town. Lanka claims that the deserter escaped because of her bungling attendant and noogies a fist against either side of Krim's head. Lanka gives your group a long, appraising look before whispering, "You'll do nicely." Consider this a great honor, she continues, then orders you to help her in the search for the deserter. You had wanted to ask her about her maiden's relic, but now it seems you have no choice but to obey her command. If anything bad happens, the maiden and the soldiers handle it, the boy says, though clearly bored with the peaceful city. This area is off limits, the soldier says, stopping you in your tracks.